Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of How to Build a Blog with Laravel. I'm your host, J.A. Curtis, but you guys can call me Alex, and today's video is going to be a security-ish video talking about using our WYSIWYG editor, but making sure that it is secure. So that's what we're going to be doing today. You might notice that it's going to be a slightly different setup as far as the video is concerned. My computer, I kind of destroyed my computer earlier this week, I guess about a week ago. Last Monday or Tuesday, I think, I broke my computer. I was messing around with the system level PHP to make some changes in the terminal that I should not have been doing, but I thought I would live on the edge and do it anyway. Broke my system level PHP and had to basically wipe the hard drive, freshly install Mac, and then I decided to live on the edge and then install macOS Sierra, which is the developer preview right now. It's in preview 4. It's in beta 4, which I think is a pretty stable beta. So I thought, hey, if I'm going to reinstall Mac anyway, why don't I install the beta? So I installed the beta, and now I find out after installing the beta and getting everything up and running and getting ready to do a video, I found out that the screen recording software that I use does not work on macOS Sierra right now. So I've had to find another solution, and I found one, but the downside is it's not going to be quite as awesome as the previous videos. I can't zoom in and out and stuff quite as easily. So I'm going to try to make this work, but you'll notice it being a little different. You also won't see my beautiful mugshot. Some of you guys will be grateful for that. Maybe some of you will be sad. Who knows? All right, so let's dive into this project. So what are we trying to do today? Well, we're going to be trying to solve the problem that we have, which is when we go to work on our posts and we try to create a new blog post, we've got this awesome WYSIWYG editor, right? That's what we set up last time. And in general, it works pretty good. We can, bold this. Let's add some H1s. So we can add a, formats, headings. Let's do an H2, our new blog post. And so this works really, really good. However, the one problem that we are going to have is that we do open ourselves up to the possibility of someone trying to potentially hack or put malicious code into our database. Okay, so this can be definitely problematic. For example, here, if we do an alert, say, you have been hacked, and we submit this to the database, this can actually run when we pull it out of the database and actually execute the code. So the last video, we talked about how to render the bold tags that are wrapped around this, and the H1 tags that are wrapped around this. We talked about how to execute those, so you actually get the visible rendered HTML like what we see here. The problem with that is that we also open ourselves up that if someone puts something like a script tag in there and we allow that to actually run, it could potentially cause problems on our computer. So what we want to do in this video is talk about how to prevent this. How can we still allow these H1 tags and these bold tags and all these other types of formatting tags through, but make sure we get rid of something malicious, okay? And that's what we'll be doing in this video, is getting it set up here. So we're gonna let TinyMCE continue to do its thing. We're gonna allow it to create the post. What we're gonna be fixing is when it submits the post and saves it into the database, that's when we're going to filter the data and make sure that it is secure when it gets put into the database, okay? So that's the focus of today's video. There's lots of ways that you can do this. Obviously, you could try to run your own script and build a script that does it, although keep in mind that there's a lot of malicious people out there that are constantly trying to game the system. They're constantly coming up with new ways of inserting data into your forms that you may not be aware of. And so sometimes it's smarter to use a plugin with people that are experienced in, protecting against these types of things. And people, those kind of people can maintain those. There are two major ones for PHP that come to mind that work really, really well for this. One is called HTML or HTML, and HTML is been around forever. And it's a small little script. It's actually like 48K, and it allows you to basically restrict HTML elements so that so you just have the safe HTML elements and it deletes everything else. It does a few other things, such as it balances tags and kind of cleans up some of the formatting a little bit too, and then it sanitizes your HTML blogs. comments and so forth. So anyway, this makes it a really easy way to work with this type of data. And then there's another one called HTML Purifier, which is a little more up to date. And so this is the one we're going to be using today. It does basically the same thing. What they do is they maintain this whitelist of acceptable formats, and then everything else is automatically, they use HTML special cars to basically clean up other code that doesn't fall into this whitelist. Okay, so that's what we're working on today. Let's see if we can add HTML Purifier to our Laravel application. Okay, I should also mention HTML Purifier does two things. It obviously defeats XSS vulnerabilities with this audited whitelist. So that's one goal of it. It also cleans your code and gets the formatting correct to be standards compliant. So it kind of does two different things here. Now, there's a lot of customization you can do, but really we're just going to be using the default settings, which basically, make sure that only whitelisted tags are allowed through, the tags that we know aren't going to cause problems, and all the other ones will be secured. Okay. Now what we'll be using today is a Laravel plugin that brings this library. It basically just takes this library, but it makes a facade that we can use in Laravel 5. So this is what we're going to be using today. The link for this will be in the description, so you guys can go down and check this out. But we're going to go ahead and get this installed into our application. First thing we need to do is we need to run composer require, and we're going to require this package. For those of you guys that know how to use Composer, there's basically two ways to add a package to your project. You can either use Composer require and then the name of the project, or you can do it the old-fashioned way, which is you go into your Composer JSON file, you add the project, then you run Composer update, and then Composer install. However, when we just do Composer require, it does all of that for us automatically, so that we're just going to do this today. So let's go ahead and copy this, Composer require muse/purifier, and let's come over to our project here. I'm going to let the server continue to run, but let me just make sure real quick I am on. Shoot. Okay, perfect. So I just wanted to clear off my Git repository real quick, and let's go ahead and bring this project in. So we're going to do Composer require, and we're going to do muse/purifier right here. Okay, so purifier. So let's do muse purify, just like that. And this is going to go ahead and run Composer update. It's going to add that into our Composer JSON and then install the package and everything like that. So it could take some time. So just be patient with it. And then I'm going to go ahead and skip to the end. Okay, so it looks like we are good to go. It has installed everything that we need to do. So now we have access to that in our Laravel project. So let's head on over to, I should have mentioned, by the way, make sure you're in your blog folder. You need to be inside your project folder whenever you do this. But anyway, let's head on over to our project. I've got this open over here. We're going to be using Atom today, which is a little different than what I've been doing in the past. I've been using Sublime. However, I don't have Sublime installed in this computer yet, so we're going to be using Atom today. All right, if you go over to your Composer JSON, you can see it's orange, which means we've modified this file since the last Git request, and you can see now that we have Purifier in here. So what we need to do now is, let's just look at the documentation real quick. So if we come over to the documentation, it tells you what to do. We need to add a service provider, so let's go ahead and copy this code and add it to our service providers. And then when we're done with that, we also need to add a alias down here, okay? So we're going to go to our config and then our config app. So let's do that. And we're going to add this to our providers folder. So app providers. Sorry, not app providers. We're going to go to config app. And then we're going to come down to our providers, which is down here. This lists all the providers that we have. So we're going to go ahead and add this down here. Going to paste. It's going to link to our service provider class. Make sure you have this comma at the end because there's still these items in the array down here. And then when we're done with that, we need to add to the aliases, which are just below. So we need to add another one down here that's going to be our purifier facade. Okay, so let's come down here and back in GitHub, we can copy this line of code. Oops, copy this line of code. And then we're going to come back to our project and paste. Okay, so now that we got this set up, what we can do is we now have access to that class using this purifier facade. Okay, so now what we can do is we can start using it. So I'm going to close this up, and we're going to use this in our post controller. So you think about where you want to use this. We're always going to be filtering the data when people create posts or update posts. So that's all happening in our post controller. So we go to app HTTP controllers post controller. And then now inside the post controller, you can, when we go down to the store function, this is where we're actually grabbing the body, right? So we grab the body from the request and we put it right into the database. You can see right now we're not doing anything to protect the data. We literally take whatever is in the form and just shove it right in to the database under the body column, okay? This is what opens us up to potential problems. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna purify this request, clean up this request and secure it, and then store it into the database. So the way we do it, now that we've got Purifier installed, is we can use the facade Purifier, and then we're gonna use clean. All right, and then wrap this in parentheses over here. And now this is gonna take this request from the database, it's gonna run it through the Purifier, protect anything that needs to be protected from us, and then it's gonna save it into this column for the body column, okay? So that's what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna go ahead and save this. And then also we need to do it in one other place. We've gone ahead and added it to our store function if we're creating a new blog post, but we also wanna add this if they go through and edit the blog post and then submit the form again. We wanna make sure it's secure there as well. So let's come down here to the update function. This is where we store a brand new blog post when it gets saved. And we're gonna come down to where we save it right here, and we're gonna wrap this with Purifier clean as well. Just like this. So then this is going to take the exact same thing and it's going to clean it and purify it and then put it into the body column of our database. Okay. One thing real quick, many of you guys will notice here we used request input body. Up here at the top, we just used request body. I got a couple questions about this, right? People got confused why I was using one over the other. And I don't know why down there I decided to use it, but they're the same thing. So this right here is just a shortcut for request input and then the body character, okay? So they're the same thing. So you can do whatever you want to do. All right, but either way, we're cleaning it up and then saving it into the database. So let's go ahead and save this. And now we're gonna go over to our project. And now that we've got this, if we click create post, it's gonna submit to that store function, which now should be purifying this HTML. So let's click create post. Oh, we gotta make a name for it. We're gonna call it hacked post. Like that, and then just give it a tag real quick. And we're good to go. So let's click create post. Oh, we did not have our Purifier class found. So let's go ahead and just come back here. And we need to go back to our project. And we need to, remember we're using this facade here, but we didn't bring it into the, we didn't namespace it in. So let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna use Purifier. And now we should have access to it. So let's just do this one more time. We're gonna click create post. And now you can see it was successfully saved. We didn't get any errors. And you can see that it renders the script safely, okay? Let's head on over to our homepage. Click on the post now. And now you can see that the scripts are secure. They're not actually rendering or exporting on the, or letting anything like that through. So let's take a look real quick in our database. And if we go into our database, we can actually double check how it's actually being put into the database. So we go to posts, hacked posts, and you can see here that it's actually, secured the tags like this. So the tags no longer are able to execute, okay? So it's kind of secured these script tags for us. All right, so now you guys may have noticed, actually let's head back over here real quick. You guys may have noticed when we were working on this that our post is actually a little bit different, right? So we actually wanted an H1 tag is what we originally told it to have, and instead it gave us this paragraph tag. And you may notice that a lot of these had paragraph tags. In fact, before when we had our script tag, let's go ahead and edit this again. What's happening, by the way, is that TinyMCE editor, when we went to edit our blog post, and TinyMCE downloaded it from the database, the blog post, it saw those script tags and then it deleted it. So that's a nice little level of security. So what's happened here is those script tags have been deleted thanks to TinyMCE editor, but of course it only deletes it when you bring it back in for edit. Like when it's importing it, it'll sanitize everything, but it doesn't do it when you're saving it. Okay. So anyway, what you can see here is if I just even if I add anything here and then save changes, obviously the H1s would get stripped out. And then what's happening as well is that you can see that there's always, oh, let's refresh this. There's always paragraph tags, okay? So it always adds these paragraph tags. And so these are kind of some things that are built in. These are the default settings for HTML Purifier. And what's happening here is the H1 and H2 and all those tags are not on the whitelist by default. So what's happening is it saw those H1 tags and it removed those in addition to the script tags and stuff like that. So what we need to do is we need to tell it that we're okay with those H1 tags and all the heading tags, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and do that, just change a few settings to allow it. And we're also gonna get rid of this automatic paragraph. This is automatically creating paragraphs, which can cause problems so I don't really like having it. Just because we want people to, they're going to set it up in their WYSIWYG editor, and if you add paragraphs unexpectedly, it could just mess with what they thought they were going to get. All right, so let's just talk about how to get those default settings in. What we're going to be doing here is we're going to go over to our terminal, and we're going to create the config file for HTML Purifier. Okay, so PHP artisan vendor publish. This is going to publish a file that's in our vendor folder, and we're going to tell it what to publish. We're going to go to Muse. I'll have this, if I can, I'm going to try to link this in the description. If not, it'll be on devmarketer.io. The link for that will also be in the description. So if you need this, you can get it. You can also get this from the GitHub link. Okay, so on GitHub here, you can, when you're at the GitHub down here, let's see, where is it? Right here. This is where we're getting the command, okay? So we're getting that. It should create a config/purifier.php. So, okay, where's our terminal? Here it is. So we did everything. I think we did everything. Let me just read that again. Purifier. I think we're good. We click enter. It went ahead and published it. So now let's head back over to our project and let's see. Let's just save it. Okay, so get that in there. And then in our config file, we have a new folder called Purifier. And when we open that, you can see all of our settings, okay? So there's lots of settings that you can get into. You can read about these on YouTube. And there's different setting like profiles. So like this is the default settings, and it's all titled default. And then these all go to they're what the default settings are. You can see that there's a couple. You can also add other setting groups in here. So like YouTube, this allows YouTube URLs. To be embedded with iframes. So you're saying, hey, this is a safe iframe if it belongs to YouTube or Vimeo. So anyway, these are some other examples of what you can do, and you can pass in these parameters as a second parameter in when you do that clean function. So you just do a comma, and then you can add YouTube, and that would allow these settings right here to be approved as well when it formats it. Okay, so you can see here if we go back to the default settings, which is what we want to focus on right now, you can see the HTML allowed. And these are all the elements that are allowed in the HTML that we allow basically when it processes it. So we can have divs. It allows bold, strong, italics, emphasis, anchor tags. You can see here with these brackets that it also allows certain items inside of this tag. So by default, it actually HTML Purifier actually strips everything out of tags. So if you tried to add some sort of tag or class to these elements, it'll automatically delete them. Now, what you're saying here is with the anchor tag, we're going to allow href and we're going to allow title parameters inside of this anchor tag. And like here, the paragraph can have a style tag and stuff like that. The span can have a style tag and so forth. Images can have width and alts and sources, obviously. So that's what we're allowing here. That's what these square brackets are. Now we can add more parameters by just comma separating them. So let's go ahead and add our H1 tag, our H2 tag, and so forth. We're going to allow all these tags to be submitted to the database. So they're fine, they're safe. Okay? And you can also see here that if people were doing inline styles, you can allow certain inline styles to exist, and other ones all the rest will be deleted. Okay? So these are all ones that aren't going to cause any problems, font changes and stuff like that. So you can go ahead and play with these settings. These are all that I want right now. The only difference here is this auto paragraph is what I was telling you about. It automatically generates those paragraphs. We're going to go ahead and turn that to false. I just don't want that, but there are reasons why you might want that, but for what we're doing, it's not really needed. Okay, so that's all we need. We've got our configs file set up. It's automatically going to take, because we edited the default, Now, if you were creating a second like profile, what you would want to do is when you go down to, okay, I'm trying to find it. Post controller, where's our HTML? Here it is. You would just pass in a second. So if you wanted to allow those, the YouTube links, you could do it here. And you can obviously make your own profiles. And that's how you would do it. You just pass in a second parameter, okay? That's all we got for you. Let's head back over here and let's now edit this blog post, okay? So now that we've changed those default settings, let's try to give this a heading 1 again. And let's give this a heading 4. And let's go ahead and click save. And now you can see that it actually, it's keeping all of our formatting. So it kept those items. And if we look in our database, look at these. You can see now that we have H1s, and we've got the paragraph here, and then now an H4. So those have been allowed, and the HTML Purifier lets them right through. Okay, so hopefully this was interesting for you guys. This is how you can securely protect your database and protect your application from, hackers. This basically allows only certain things to come through and everything else gets deleted. That's the one thing I like about HTML Purifier over, say, HTML Load. Is HTML Load is like, it tries to do a lot more than what this does, because it says, okay, these things are not allowed. These things are allowed, and it tries to kind of guess in between. Whereas this, like, you're safe because it only allows a handful of things through. So again, back in your config file, this is all it's allowing through. And so I really like that about this HTML Purifier. HTML Purifier is a little more focused on actually cleaning the HTML, making it safe, than HTML Load and HTML Tidy and stuff like that are all focused on actually like reformatting your HTML. So I like that about this one, and it's really nice because you don't have to remember every single item someone might try to type in to break your application. Instead of trying to remember all of that, all you do is just type in the things you know are safe. So these ones, we know these are all safe, and then by default, just get rid of everything else. So I really like that. Hopefully you guys found this interesting and informative. This is something you need to be adding to all of your applications going forward. It's really easy to add, and it adds such a higher level of security that it's just something that you've got to be doing, especially if you have a WYSIWYG editor. Especially if you got a WYSIWYG editor, you really need to do that. So anyway, that's everything for the video today, guys. Just to kind of give you an update on the series, we've only got basically 2 more videos left. It might maybe 3 videos if one of these gets split into a couple videos. But we basically have the image upload. That's the next video, is image upload. And then after that, we're going to talk about deploying our app to the internet, to the server. And we'll put a domain name on it and stuff like that. Well, I'll show you how to put a domain name on it. And we'll do all that. So we basically just have a couple videos left, just those last few, and then we'll be done. Moving on to the next series is going to be our e-commerce series. So we're going to build an e-commerce website, which is going to go into more intermediate stuff and advanced stuff, which I'm really excited to start teaching, because I think it's going to be a lot more fun for everybody. And you'll be learning, I think, a lot more in every single episode than you are here. I think we learned a lot at the beginning, and then now just kind of getting these last few things, we've kind of tapered off a little bit. So it'll be nice to get back in and learning a ton of stuff. With the e-commerce series, I am actually trying to get some sponsors. I want to bring on a few sponsors, some companies that just want to basically become sponsors for the series, or maybe just for maybe just for a couple episodes. And so that's something I'm playing with. I obviously want to continue to offer this as for free to everybody. And I think that this education should be free to people and should be available. However, I am turning down projects and work because of how busy the YouTube channel keeps me. And so because of that, like, it is costing me a lot of money basically to run the YouTube channel, because I'm missing out on other opportunities, if that makes sense. So getting sponsorships, I think, is going to be a really good way for me to basically compensate myself for this, but then also allowing it to be free for you guys, so that you guys don't have to pay for that. And so that's kind of my goal here, is to make it a win-win for everybody. So the reason I want to mention that is that if you guys know a company, maybe someone you work for, maybe someone you know has a company that you think could benefit from sponsoring these episodes, then have them go ahead and email me, or you can email me And you guys know my email address. It's hello@jacurtis.com. You can email me over there and just let me know. I'm going to be reaching out to a few companies that I think will be good. But if you guys have anyone that you are friends with, or that you work for, that might be interested in sponsoring some of these episodes, please let me know. I do want to be kind of like, I'm not going to just have random sponsors. I don't want like a condom sponsor or something on here. I want to make it like relevant to you guys. So I want to find, any sort of like development house, any sort of an app service, just something in maybe the technology field, or even if it's something it's just something that you guys could benefit from. I don't just want like some random sponsor that no one could benefit from, but I am going to try to look for people that at least have something in common, that with what you guys are, basically something that you guys would be interested in as well. And basically that, of course, you're not required to buy from them. They're just trying to get outreach, and they want to get their name out there. And so this is a way for me to get their name out there and to compensate me and to allow it to be free for you guys, because a lot of these series, like this series here, I mean, on Udemy and stuff like that, this type of series would cost hundreds of dollars. So I'm allowing it to be free, and this is kind of, I think, one way that we can make it work for everybody. So anyway, that's everything I got for you guys today. I just wanted to reach out to you guys and ask you that if you knew anyone, have them go ahead and contact me. If not, we're still going to continue on with the series, whether I get sponsors or not. Don't worry about that, but that's just something I'm trying to do before we get going. All right. That's everything I got for you guys. My little rant at the end got long, but I hope you found this valuable. We've got a couple more videos left, so I'll see you in those videos. And until next time, have a good day.